You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Patricia. Tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio.
We discovered that human potential is severely limited when you program humans like a machine, which is standard practice today for self-improvement.
The Ecosystem Approach teaches you how to uncover your infinite potential by using natural methods that are truly revolutionary. Join us now for the Ecosystem Approach show. Today, we're talking about the forgotten language of the soul. This topic is actually the result of a listener question. Do you remember your soul language? Do you talk to your essence? We are married intuitives with over 20 years experience who created the Ecosystem Approach for you. This is much different because we see human beings as ecosystems that need to be restored instead of programmed. We show you how to take an energy approach for internal discovery that is rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Okay, Jason. This is such an interesting subject. You know, where do we start? That's the first question. And how do we describe a language?
That's tough.
It is.
So I've often said that your essence speaks to you with emotions. But I've said that, and that's overly simplistic. And
True.
It prompted a listener question. And here's the question. She wrote and said, if your essence communicated via emotions, then what are emotions trying to tell us? Good question. Mm-hmm. And if anything, and what are we supposed to listen to them or just clear the uncomfortable ones? And we're always talking about clearing the big ones. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. And then why have them in the first place? Mm-hmm. Well, it's a great question because it represents the idea that she's been programmed. We've all been programmed all of our life. So the language of our essence talking to us is really foreign to us. Yeah. Us too. You know,
it is
when we first started.
Exactly.
You know,
and by the way, we still find ourselves every once in a while connecting back with the programming
of one thing at a time.
Exactly.
Let's not look at, you know, let's take this advice as opposed to asking, well, okay, what should I do in this,
or what's in my best interest? Yes. Or what's in the best interest
Yes.
of the situation. And you know, one of the things that we did was because of the clearing, because of the ecosystem approach, we started having all these questions ourselves, and we realized if we were having those questions, then everybody else would be having those same questions too.
Now, to be fair, at this point, we talk to our essence all the time, but we don't think about it. We don't even think about the language.
No,
we don't think about what's happening, any of that. So, so let's talk about this.
Okay.
Your emotions are a nonverbal way to communicate with yourself, to talk to your essence. Mm-hmm. Nonverbal communication is the purest form. Now, you know, there are times, a lot of times we get up in the morning, we get up early, no one's, you know, mom's not there.
Everybody else is
still sleeping.
Yes, exactly.
And it's just you and I, and we have this connection that doesn't even need words. No. It's very special. It's nonverbal. That's as it should be. That's the most pure form of communication. When we leave these bodies, we see that it's, if you were to go in the non-physical dimension where your soul is, your essence is, you wouldn't hear a lot of chatter. It would it's communicating non-verbally.
Correct.
So it's a very pure form. And frankly, I struggle with this all the time. The English language or any language is not sufficiently robust to communicate what I'm feeling. Actually, my emotions are a much more robust way to communicate that. So, and we also have to calibrate by people. You know,
yes, absolutely.
You're much more emotional than I am.
I don't know what you mean.
You're much more emotional.
Yes,
so,
I am.
So when she's being less emotional, so she can hear her essence, it's still a lot more emotional than I am when I'm less emotional.
Correct.
So, and your Enneagram type really helps with this. Astrology helps with this. It helps you see who you are and kind of the energy that you have. So when you're communicating, you kind of know. And the most important thing is that we're in this world today where we have huge amounts of out of control emotions: anger, frustration, bitterness, resentment, fear,
Correct,
shame. And those out of control emotions are like noise in the background that keeps us from hearing the message to our essence.
And I'm going to add, those out of control emotions feel like they're poking, and they're poking, but not in a good way. It's not like, hey, you need to pay attention. Those out of control emotions are poking and they're irritating, and that's a diversion from what's really going on.
Your essence never yells at you.
No.
You
Oh, I don't know. Well, we have a story at the end. My essence told me something the other day to wake up.
Well, it did, but it doesn't yell. So when there's this stuff going on in the background, you can't hear what you're talking about to yourself.
Right.
So we're gonna talk about this and give you some examples. This is how my essence speaks to me.
Okay.
I ask myself a question and I usually wait for an answer. And sometimes I get it right away. Sometimes I have to sleep on it. That's my preferred way of doing it.
Right.
And then I just get an answer and I just know.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel a twinge in my body. Sometimes I feel, a lot of times I can look at supplements, for example, and I'll get all like, which means no. And or like kind of a
okay, exactly.
And that means yes, like
yes.
like a craving.
Exactly. And what he's saying is that he basically is talking to the supplements, asking, is this in my best interest today or right now?
Yeah, I don't even go through the question. It's just there.
It's an automatic, because you've been doing it for so long.
Yeah. It's really quick.
Yes.
Now, I also feel pictures,
right?
And I don't know how to describe that, to feel a picture, but it's an emotion, and then all of a sudden I see the picture.
Right.
The emotions come up, and then I see a picture, and I can usually interpret that. And sometimes it depends on situations I find myself in.
Sure.
Sometimes memories come up.
Yes.
One of the things I noticed last 5 years when I'm working with little kids, the top of my ears just buzz, and I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't either. I'd forgotten about that, but
it's unique to me.
It truly is.
We just had our first granddaughter, and my ears are always twinging. She'll send me a baby picture or a little video, and I'm my ears.
There's ears go.
And I know it's because babies are still they have a lot of part of them that is in their essence already.
Yes.
And that's what they're functioning, not in.
Or that's what they're communicating with. Yes, exactly. And they haven't been programmed.
So
that's true. So
talk about the way you do it.
I see things different. Not different completely. What I mean is I have a different set of skills in order for me to be able to connect with this language that we're talking about. I see a lot of details in things. I do see colors. I see pictures. I do hear, I hear voices. Yes, I do hear voices, but I also, things such as smell and sound and feelings. And of course, for me, I'd love to say there's no drama, but there's always drama for me.
And I think that's an interesting contrast, because
it is.
If we were reading Scarlett O'Hara, for example,
oh yes,
with the Wind,
yes.
What was that famous line? As God is my witness, I'll never be hungry again.
Yeah, I'll never go hungry again.
Yeah, yes. And with such drama, and if I was going to see that from communication from my essence,
right,
it would be matter of fact. She doesn't want to be hungry again. That's what I would hear.
And by the way, I would not only hear as God is my witness.
It would be huge
drama. Not to mention, I'd know the color of her dress. I'd know how she was feeling all the way around. But that's my
and the inflection of her voice. So
and the inflection.
When we do intuitive work together,
yes,
I'm usually interpreting, and you're acting out
Yeah.
the voices and this person.
It's true.
Instead
It's
of
true.
saying, well, this person said this is you're like,
Well, and one of the other things we need to say here is that when Jason and I are working together, often I will let him ask the questions and I will do the seeing, or I will be the seer in that moment. And we do really, really, really well with it. It's quite
we're just
interesting.
beginning to scrape the surface with that, and it's really exciting. So I just want to tell you one story about, and then it'll be quick, but we had a client, and she and her boyfriend went on a 2-month trip. They were basically wanted to figure out what they wanted to do.
With their lives,
they
right?
quit their jobs,
Yeah.
and it wasn't.
By the way, bold move.
It was a bold move, and I talked to her recently. She said, "Well, I haven't really." And I told her this, but you haven't really figured anything out. I said, well, that's not really true. You have. One of the things that she was telling me is that she needs, the trip need to be planned out for both of them.
Yes.
They couldn't just say, okay, we're just start driving and see where we go.
Right.
That it had to be planned out. Well, that's telling them something, that is a level of communication from your essence.
Right.
So just those things. She was expecting a ticker tape. There's rarely a ticker tape that says go right. It's not like Google Maps that says, the next
corner go right. Yes, exactly.
It's not like that.
Yes, exactly. All right, Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
Your essence speaks via emotions, sensations, external environment, and reoccurring life experiences. And learning your unique language of essence takes practice and time and attention. And the ecosystem approach teaches you to make your essence the center of your life with an energy approach to your life.
Okay. In the next segment, we're going to talk about the language of metaphor and how your essence uses it to communicate. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about the language of metaphor and how our essence uses it to communicate to us. We are married intuitives with over 20 years experience who created the Ecosystem Approach for you. This is much different because we see human beings as ecosystems that need to be restored instead of programmed. We show you how to take an energy approach for internal discovery that is rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Okay, Jason, I know that this is one of the most confusing topics and probably one of the most difficult to explain. Question: what do you mean by the language of metaphor, Jason?
We do this all the time, and it's almost second nature.
Yes.
We look for metaphors in everything.
We do.
And so imagine your essence is putting on a play in front of you.
Okay.
And you're in the audience. Most people are so engrossed in their own drama, their own theater around them.
Hands down.
They can't step outside and look at it from
turn around and look back, so to speak,
or see it from a third person perspective.
Exactly.
But if you take that approach and say, okay, what's going on in my life? And you see the players there, you see maybe your spouse and your kids, and my mom lives with us, so that's part of ours. We have your family that live close by, and we have 2 dogs, and it's the whole thing is right there, and so we can get information from that. And in the last segment, or the third segment, we're gonna put you on the spot and talk about what this, if your life was a stage,
if my life was on stage,
how would we interpret those metaphors?
Yes.
So people say, well, okay, so I see it as a play, then what? Well, it usually represents, that play represents the hurts and pains and struggles that you have.
Yeah.
Start there, clear those. You see different acts of the play.
Okay.
So you may be stuck in act 1, but maybe your life has moved to act 3, and you have to relook at it again and say, okay, what's happening now?
Exactly.
And that's what we're going to talk about in the next segment. That's pretty interesting. But here's the thing. What's so powerful about the ecosystem approach is you can clear the subtleties. You can, when we say and to eliminate, and we'll talk about clearing in the next segment, it can be very, very specific, and it can deal with the subtleties. And that's why it's so effective. So if you go to someone and say, okay, I have problems with fear. Well, typically, if you really want to get the fear, and most people don't have just a little bit of problem with fear, they have a huge problem with fear.
Well, if they know that they have fear, I guarantee you it's a huge thing.
And to go into different specifics of it, the different subtleties of it, is huge. So that's can really make it effective. And here's the other part.
Okay.
Interpreting the play is always difficult. And there's no formula, there's no programming method to interpret the play correctly. And and understand that there isn't one right answer.
Well, and also, if somebody sits down and they put their life out in front of them, if they see anger and hate and fear about this person or that situation, that kind of thing, in general, I would just automatically clear that anger, hate, and hurt and fear, those things. But also, then I would do what you call the specifics, and the subtleties, because oftentimes those subtleties are the biggest hooks that keep us stuck doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. And what is that the definition of? Insanity.
So those are the things that really make a difference in a person's life. They can really move you forward. And those subtleties are really important. And also, it's fair to say that we've worked with the same client. Like I'll work, we don't really switch off, but basically over time, some of our clients have switched from me to you, and you
vice
to me,
versa.
And we have a different perspective. I always have a different perspective. If we're looking at the same thing, I always have a different perspective. I see a little bit differently. It's just like an eyewitness account of something that happens. You have two different people, you have two different perspectives. There's nothing wrong with that. And neither of them is absolutely right or absolutely wrong.
Well, and programming says you're either right or you're wrong.
It's this or that.
And that isn't really how life is.
So,
and that's kind of important to understand that.
Another great example of programming, see, here's the problem. Programming frames the issues in black and white. What's the best way to accomplish this? We were talking the other day with some friends about memory. And the problem is that when you think, okay, I've got, and there was at least two people that said, oh yeah, I have a problem with memory. So you look at memory as a problem in itself, it doesn't really give you the perspective. And programming says, okay, if you've got a memory problem, 3 people in the room have a memory problem, then you look at what are the problems with memory. And that doesn't necessarily tell you the information you need to know, because what you need to know is, how does the memory problem fit in the context of your individual play? Your theater.
And why is that happening
in this moment?
And why is that happening?
And why in this?
And that's a really big deal. That's the specific thing that Jason talks about a lot.
That's the ecosystem approach.
But really in
programming, you look at just memory, and that gives you such tunnel vision. Or I have a weight problem. Well, what do you do with that? I mean, so you look at weight problems specifically, but you don't look in terms of the context of the whole.
Well, and most people think about weight as weight being only how much you eat, input and output, that kind of thing. But what they don't look at is the emotional aspect of excess weight, and why, and even how you manage to connect with it.
So we've been taught as a society to look at our problems like one at a time.
Correct.
Weight, money, relationships. I'm struggling with my spouse. So what do I do about that? Well, that's not one problem. That's part of your theater right now.
Exactly.
For you personally, for your spouse personally, and then you two together. It's very, very unique. and that's part of the problem with programming in general, because it really tunnels your vision. So if you start working with the ecosystem approach and you want to start learning the language of your essence,
Right.
your soul,
which,
yes,
by the way, fun, in my opinion, fantastic fun. Go ahead.
We've been together 21 years, and when we're at a restaurant, it's funny, we look around and all the couples aren't talking to each other, or we're just little
bit. And Jason and I are, we can't get enough. I'll be honest, Jason and I don't have enough time with each other. We not only work together, but we live in the same house. We never have enough time, because there's so many things that either we want to talk about or that we want to enjoy.
We've made this connection with our essence for ourselves.
Yes.
And we've made this connection with our essence with each other.
Exactly.
So it creates a whole rainbow, a depth of connection, communication, information that you don't have in the programming world, which is just one thing at a time.
Right.
Or, I've got this problem with this, and what do I do about it?
Right.
Another thing about programming, it's people look at indicators.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
One of the big indicators is that if you have a firm handshake, that means you're confident.
Right.
Well, and of course, that's complete
programming.
Yes. It's not true. You can fake a firm handshake.
Well, you can
look good in the moment.
Exactly. When you have no confidence, or when you're about to take this person, to the cleaners because you can.
So what I see all the time, and we both see this, we'll have people that come to us and looking for a mate, looking for a partner
all the time.
And they have all these indicators or rules that say, well, if he pays for the check, or if he holds the door open, or if he doesn't pay for the check, or if he suggests going Dutch, or all these things have meaning to that person.
Right.
That says it means this. If he does this, it means that. That's a terrible thing to do. If you look at yourself
right
holistically, like the theater, and you're talking to your essence, it looks so much different. But if you look at a programming perspective,
it's very narrow, by the way.
I love to read the magazine titles going through the grocery line. And so if there's 10 indicators that your boyfriend is cheating, or 10 indicators that you're made for each other, don't read those, because they don't work for you personally, because you're different.
Exactly. And if you're gonna read them, laugh. I mean, because there's nothing else to do except maybe talk to other people in the line, and pretty soon you figure out they're not people you want to talk to at all. So Jason,
here's the other part.
There's one major thing here. Go ahead, and it needs to be talked about.
Whenever you listen to your essence and take action and say, okay, I need to move forward, I'm being blocked from moving forward, and you move forward, clear so you can move forward.
Yes.
There's always a polarity response.
And I guarantee you, even to this day,
which is a form of pushback
from negative energy of you trying to change either your life, your situation, or get an answer that's in your best interest.
So if you're looking at the stage of your life and trying to get answers from your essence about what's happening,
right?
That's where you get knocked off, because polarity always is there.
Yes.
And it pushes you back, and you think, oh, that wasn't right. Well, that's
not necessarily true.
That's just about interpretation.
Okay. And so, Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
Our life is a stage for our essence to act out with messages and issues so we can clear them.
Okay.
Interpretation is always a challenge, but clearing creates clarity, and the benefits accumulate over time.
Okay.
And programming interferes with problem solving by limiting perspective and compartmentalizing problems. It's awful.
Huge deal.
It makes you stupid. And the ecosystem approach teaches you to perceive the energy of your life and clear it very specifically.
Exactly. In the next segment, we're going to tell you a story about your essence over a long period of time, and what to expect and how it works together with your life. By the way, this story is about me. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. In this segment, we're going to tell you a story about talking to your essence over a long period of time and what to expect and how it works together with your life. We're going to forego the we're married intuitives today in this segment. So, okay, Jason, I'm going to use myself as an example of using the metaphors in my life to hear what my essence is saying to me. But we're going to let Jason start with this one. I'll chime in.
So, we went through this and it takes a long time. So we're trying to do it as quickly as
Cutting
we
it
possibly
down,
can.
so
Yeah.
to speak.
So we're going to start 21 years ago when we
When we
first got
met.
together, and you had pancreatitis. And
Chronic. I want to say chronic, which is not that common.
it was awful. It was she if she ate anything that had any fat in it, she'd be in the bathroom with diarrhea. She couldn't go anyplace.
No.
It limited her at work. She had to bring your lunch.
Always. I
Always.
couldn't eat anybody else's food. I had to know what was in it.
She couldn't go out to eat. She couldn't go she didn't do anything
Like that.
And she was trapped. She was a victim to her physical body. It was really expensive paying for the
medication.
enzymes.
The medication was unbelievable.
And it really affected your ability socially and with your relationships.
Exactly.
So that's where we started. That's the theater. If you're looking at the
that
stage,
was the beginning of us looking at the theater as we're talking and seeing what was the metaphor for the pancreatitis.
Being a victim,
and not being able to stomach what was going on in my life.
Yes,
it was huge.
And that's when we started looking at what's going on in our life and started clearing all those things.
Right. Well, and the most amazing thing is by the way, chronic pancreatitis usually kills people, hands down. Doesn't always, but it definitely can.
Very serious.
Very, very serious. And after we started clearing this and I started working on it, and then we would get together and we would work on it. Within 3 months, and I have to tell you, this is really unheard of. Within 3 months, I could eat anything I wanted with no reaction at all.
So
that was unreal.
That was Act One.
That was Act One.
So
Two.
Then we met at a art college and we were working there together, not in the same department, but she got laid off, and the metaphor for her life was doing all the work but not getting any of the credit.
Right.
So there was two people in the department. The other person was a show horse and was always flirting with the boss. Couldn't do any of the work, but I
was the one who was doing the work,
and she was the one that got laid off. And a few days later, the other woman
figured it out that she couldn't do it and
she quit. So that's another thing. We started clearing that. Then
appreciation, for me to be appreciated.
Yes, being appreciated for what you do.
Yes.
We got together. We got married. For the first time, you had a functional relationship. So again, we're looking at the story. We're looking at the theater, the stage. This is what Act 3 now, and all of a sudden you had a supportive, healthy relationship for the first time.
Which, by the way, was so foreign to me that I tried sabotaging it several times, not successfully. Thank you very much, but not successfully because we use the ecosystem approach to
so sabotage is an energy we can clear.
Exactly. And we cleared all that.
That is an energy we can clear.
Yes,
we kept
it was
doing
amazing.
So then she started a water aerobic class in our town that we lived in, and this class, she became literally a rock star within this town. Everybody came to the class. It was the biggest class that they've ever had in the history. Her students put her up on a pedestal. She literally was being acknowledged for the first time in a way she never had, except for one place, which was the management
with the authorities of
Park and Rec.
Didn't,
they were jealous. They didn't
like that.
They didn't like that. So they still had some work to do, but she was in a much better place. Then we got a contract with a Fortune 500 company, and the vice president, it was a fun little gig that we had. We were hired so that we could create some moves, create some dance steps for part of a program.
Yes.
But the vice president used our intuitive ability to read the room, to ask us questions about people.
to help her with her job.
And she went to a women's retreat that was sponsored by this company.
Right.
And all of a sudden, at the last minute, they just said, "Oh, Patricia, can you read the room as a form of
can not only can you read the room, but can you read each one of us individually?"
Yes.
And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, first off, what a huge compliment that was."
It was a huge compliment.
And
they wouldn't have done it unless they knew she could have done it.
Yes.
And
exactly.
that was you put her up on a pedestal. So this is a big change in her life. And then it was right during that time that you had your heart valve.
Yeah.
And the heart valve surgery was telling us that, hey, there's still some more to clear. And this was foundational from your childhood.
Yes.
You know, this
actually, I was born with this imbalance. We'll say it that way.
Imbalance of giving and receiving. So, you know, we were clearing that, and then she, after that, the surgery was very successul.
Yes, it was.
But after that, you had the Meniere's disease and the vertigo.
Yes.
And we keep clearing that, but the symptoms are pretty mild. And
which is great.
My mom came to live with us.
Right. Oh yeah.
And that brought up all those when you were a child, you had to take care of your mentally disabled sister.
That's right.
And it was sort of like your mother couldn't handle it, didn't handle it, whatever, but she kind of gave you the responsibility.
Put it on me. Exactly.
In a way that was unfair. And she always had Patricia do the bad jobs. And then her sister was put on a pedestal to do the other jobs, and she didn't deserve it. It was
very interesting.
Yes. So having mom come and live with us, and she's deaf and she has dementia, and it's really hard, but we've been able to do it really well. She does a great job, except when she doesn't. And those are those energies that come up from your past.
Exactly. And the more dementia, the more that the dementia is setting in, the more that I see that the mental disability, and sometimes it'll happen so fast that I don't have I'm going to use the word a defense, but I have to say one thing. I use the ecosystem approach every single day, so I can not only take care of my mother-in-law, but also so that I can make the house and her happy. Because when somebody has a mental problem, it affects everything around. Everything, you know, in a huge radius.
With someone like that is really hard,
especially when they're deaf.
And we're working full time and all those things.
Exactly.
So, and then the last thing, and this is kind of interesting, talk about reading the metaphors.
Yes.
But so we were going to, so all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but over this time period, you were always in the back of the bus with your family, and now you've kind of been exalted and put on a pedestal. And truly the matriarch of your family. She has a big family, and we get together a lot. And the other day we got together for pizza, and we really didn't want to go. You and I didn't. Well,
we didn't want to go, but we were
tired. And
exactly. And we had yes, it was one of those.
And you know, we're not that social with that sort of thing. So you were walking out carrying three salads. And you tripped and you fell flat on your. I mean, this was not just a stumble. It was it was. And the part that was the most amazing to me was, I don't know if anyone knows what I don't know if I'm saying it right, a bollard, which is like a cement pole that stops cars from being in a certain place. You know, you find them in parking lots and that sort of thing. And as I was tripping, the salads flew from the force and went everywhere, but I couldn't catch myself. I knew I was going to go down, and I got this voice that said, "Heads up, Patricia." And I look up, and I am less than a foot and a half away from this bollard and this post. And had I not looked up, I would have planted my face in this post. And I have to tell you, the force, I'm not sure. I know I wouldn't be here today from that. Let me just say it that way. So here's the two takeaways.
Okay.
One is, on one hand, you were protected by your intuition, and your essence
totally was
talking to you all at the same time. But it was also a polluted response because you were, there was something about us being there, that was really important for that get together.
It really
And
was.
because it was a form of acknowledgement that
One of my sisters
yes,
needed the acknowledgement, and I'm glad she did.
from her, from you,
from me.
yes. And so this was kind of the pushback.
Yeah.
Because we talk about polarity response.
Yes.
On one hand, it was really, really positive. On the other hand, we didn't want to do it, and there was this negative energy.
And then I got my backside kicked. I'll just say it that way.
So we cleared it all the way through.
Yes.
Now that was an interpretation. You may not follow that exactly. It doesn't really matter. But we're reading the metaphors, and we're reading the stage of Patricia's life, and we do it every single day. We've been doing it for 21 years, and it really has
made a difference.
Yeah, it returns dividends. It's really great.
It really, really does. So with that said, key points, Jason.
Seeing your life as a stage gives you perspective, but it takes practice. Seeing that you still have problems, but the severity is less, and seeing the gains that you make is really helpful. A programming approach with one problem at a time keeps you from having any real perspective on your life. And the ecosystem approach teaches you to see your life holistically and to heal it holistically, and not one at a time.
And it works. Absolutely. So we're running out of time in this segment. So we're going to tell everyone how to do the clearing in the next segment.
And we're going to do some clearing so you can start talking to your essence.
Exactly. So stay tuned when we come back. We're going to do some clearing to help you start to communicate to your essence. Your essence is the most important. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. In this segment, we're going to do some clearing to help you start to communicate with your essence, and we're also going to teach you how to clear right now for those of you who don't know. And for those of you who do know, just follow along and we'll get to the clearing in 1 minute.
There are other processes that use what they call clearing.
Yes.
This is unique to us. So just pay attention. And it's basically, you can sit, stand, lie down, walk.
Okay.
You can even do it while you're talking to someone. That takes a little more practice.
Well, let's ask Edvin right now to put the processor up on the screen so that everyone can see that. And what we're going to do is, in your mind's eye, you're going to take that negative energy that we're talking about, whatever it is, and we're going to put it in that processor, because leaving it laying around or just clearing it out of your body and throwing it, down, so to speak, you're going to get up and walk into it. So
when we talk about clearing, we're moving negative energy. So what I was talking about is the posture you can have.
That's right.
So you can have any kind of posture. You can walking, sitting. It's very, very useful because you can do two things at once. You can walk into work and be clearing. Right. So what you do is you gather up these emotions. They're either emotions that we say, veils and illusions, barriers, whatever we say, gather it up and blow it into the processor. You can see it there on the screen. It goes in the top. Gets processed, it comes out neutral. And so by the negative energy goes in top and it gets processed.
And that when it comes out neutral, you're not only helping you and your life, but you're also helping all the lives around you. We have enough pollution as it is.
Enough negative energy.
Yes.
So it's that simple.
It is. So Jason, go ahead.
You want to do the creator energy?
No, go ahead and get started.
The barrier and
no. I direct all my
yes.
You do that.
Yes, I get that.
There you go.
I direct all my resources in all dimensions to eliminate the barrier, so I can see that essence talks to me with feelings, sensations, and out of the ordinary occurrences.
Take a breath, nice and easy. Pick up that negative energy, the barriers that's keeping you from connecting with your essence, and put it in that processor right there. If you don't have a processor, if you can't see it, use a garbage can. We'll empty it for you. So moving right along, and to eliminate the false belief that seeing problems one at a time is the best way to take care of them. Take a nice breath. You don't have to see problems one at a time. You can see the whole thing and then work on everything. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the intense feelings of worry, anxiety, and frenzy, which interferes with essence communication.
Take a breath. And to eliminate the feelings of fear and hurt and shame that makes me feel like I haven't made progress but then there's been no perspective. I release and let go these hurt and this fear and this shame. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the barrier so I can see all of my life as a stage and I'm the audience for perspective.
It's wonderful. And not to mention it's fun. And then you kind of go, oh, I shouldn't have been wearing those pants. Take a nice breath. Take a breath.
I never say that, by the way. So anyways.
He's a smart man. And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see my essence talks to me in a way I can actually hear based on my unique qualities. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the feelings of fear and terror that make communication with essence difficult.
Yes.
That's the noise in the background.
Yes. Take
a breath.
And to eliminate the barriers so we can see how the severity of my issues are reduced as I do clearing over time. Wow, what a concept. Take a nice breath.
And to eliminate any intense anger and frustration that blocks and locks up my ability to listen to my essence. Take a breath.
And to eliminate my resistance to changing from one at a time approach to a more holistic approach by using the ecosystem approach. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the false belief that there's only one interpretation for every situation when there can be multiple interpretations.
And when I see it from that perspective, I can choose what and who is in my best interest. Take a breath. And to eliminate the barriers so I can see my essence talks to me through my life experiences in metaphor. You heard a whole list of them a few minutes ago. And by the way, if you listen, it's amazing. Take a breath.
And to eliminate any numbness or blocks I have to the language of my essence that is acting out in my life.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can learn what my essence is saying with practice over time. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see the clues that my essence is leaving me all the time to make my life better.
Take a breath. Now we're going to activate life force. Life force is the most powerful energy that any of us has access to. And when we do clearing and then use life force, what we're doing is we're replacing negative energy with positive energy. And it goes like this. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to activate life force so I can use life force for all that I need, want, desire, and deserve. Starting right now, take a nice breath.
And to activate life force so I can have hope to have a real connection to my essence to make my life better. Take a breath.
And to activate life force so I can trust my essence is the most important mentor, coach, and advisor that I'll ever have. Take a breath.
And to activate life force so I can decide to see my life as a stage that contains messages from my essence.
Perfect.
Take a breath.
And to activate life force so I can be happy and healthy, creative, have fun and have joy and laughter, but also have objectivity, creativity, and the ability to see and know who and what is in my highest and best interest, starting right now, today. Pull in that life force energy through the top of your head. Let it go all the way down to the tips of your toes, and to be happy and healthy and get rid of any negative energy. Put it in that processor right now. You don't need it. Blow any negative energy out. So Jason, what are we going to talk about next week?
We're going to talk, the title is Discrediting Energy Work and how dark energy does it.
We see it a lot.
You know, since we started with this, you know, being discredited has been just sort of something we live with.
Yes,
you know?
we do.
And what's going to be interesting about this show is we're going to talk about how dark energy works in a way that I think you'll find fascinating. But we're also going to talk about how the people in alternative medicine who are energy workers
Right.
are discrediting themselves in this process.
Mm.
Or contributing to that discreditation. So
Okay.
we know that alternative medicine can be a real benefit, and we've got a story for that show that is very, very powerful, and I think you'll find it very interesting.
Okay.
So,
and by the way, we have known for a long time that traditional medicine is deeply flawed and has problems with credibility and integrity. So, and if you believe in energy work, you have to see the show, because you have to understand we see it as a real balance here, and we've used it a lot. So, Jason, why is the ecosystem approach so important to me personally and people in the audience out there?
Well, if this has touched you today, if there's something about this show today that has connected with you, go to our website right now, theecosystemapproach.org, and sign up for our free section. It's amazing. You'll get the clearings every single week. The way you do this is by going to listen to our show every week, sign up for our free section so you get the clearings, and you can do them every single day,
right,
and then come back and do the clearings with us the next week, because
exactly.
we'll do that every single week and every single show.
Exactly.
And then go to our Facebook page, theecosystemapproach.org, and like us. And
okay,
that's where we have the videos.
Exactly. So we'll connect next week, Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. This is Transformation Talk Radio, and you're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia.
Remember, your ecosystem is the most important one in the world.
Thank you for listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. I'm Patricia. Tune in every week as we discuss practical ways to apply the ecosystem approach and develop your potential to live your life on your terms. For more information, visit our website at theecosystemapproach.org.